And we are back with Fish Vargas and Rich Villar, and we're learning all about poetry in the Bronx. Fascinating stuff. I'm very happy that you guys are here. What would you say, since you're teaching poetry, what would you say to somebody who's like considering sitting at home right now, a young person who's a Latino, knows that he has some talent in writing? Where does he go to get some advice and, you know, have somebody look at his stuff and tell him, listen, you got something here?
Just as pompous as my sound, find me, look for me. And I will point you in every right direction you have to go.
Okay.
There's workshops all throughout the Bronx, all throughout New York City, local colleges, certain community centers have workshops. You can go anywhere you want to go, and you find, if you really want it, you can look hard enough, you will find it. I always say, if you really want to find out how to write poetry or where to go, contact me at Santos Bronx Poetry Showcase, on MySpace. You can email me at fish@louderarts.com. Just call me, find me. We'll point
Now,
you
when
right
somebody
direction.
wants to come to the showcase, Rich, and do you want to see, you know, somebody new that you've never seen before? Do you want to see what they're going to present before they stand up there, or
No,
do you
they
want to
can.
hear them out?
They
and
just
test
they,
them?
they get up and they say what they're going to say. There's a certain purity in simply bringing what you have in the door. If they want a workshop, I would say to come to Santos, and we'll sit down with them, because the atmosphere is, it's serious, yes, but there's also a degree of informality about it. Like, we're just familia hanging around, and we've been around the block. We know more or less what's out there, and more importantly, I think when a kid has the mentors that are around, that have been around the block, they can find their own voice, in whatever way they can, and we're there to guide them. They can come to us at Santos, man. That's what the space is there
Every
for.
second, fourth Tuesday.
That's right.
The Barn Grill.
Well, you guys are mentors now, and you already mentioned how you got started. But what motivated you? What was your? Who was your mentor?
I didn't really have a mentor per se, but I actually went in support of a friend, Oscar Bermeo, the co-founder of Santos Bronx Poetry. He was always interested. He said, you know what, I would really love to go read on an open mic. You know what, I carry around a small little poem. I'll go help you. I'll go support you. And we would go to this bar, Bar 13, Louder Arts Project, every Monday, 7 o'clock, and we would just read on the open mic. And I would go every other Monday, so I would write one poem a week just to read on the open mic, because it's just fascination getting on the microphone.
Yeah.
And one thing led to the next, and some of the curators said, you know what, we really like your work. Why don't you come and you feature for us in the uppercase? And I thought that was my big break. I was so excited. And that's just, you know what, this is changing my life. So I went from the corporate world, I really started shying away from that and studying, because I went to school for criminology. So after that, criminology took a back seat. That's when I said, you know what, let's start with poetry.
So if you're writing a poem a week just to keep up with the showcase, how many poems have you written?
Well, back at those time, a poem a week meant they were really bad poems.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you realize it takes me on average, maybe to write a really decent poem that I'm proud of, maybe about a month.
So do you use the showcase as a testing ground? Do you
Absolutely.
try the poetry on the audience and see what kind of reaction?
I know.
And do you
Yeah.
actually change it after
Well,
you get some feedback?
Sure.
there's such a big community of poets in the Bronx and New York City. Even before that poem gets read on the stage, it would get passed around on email before maybe 30, 40 people. I'll say, Rich, read this poem, tell me what you think. He'll send it back, here's some edits, this is what you can think. Then I send it to someone else, and before you know it, the poem gets...
Oh, I
So
see.
basically, it's a communal effort in a poem. It's not just me writing it down and then going to open mic and reading it. It's a real big community effort in writing a poem.
So email works.
Email's a
Email,
plays a
godsend.
great
email's
role
great
in
for
here.
that, but
Yeah,
also
yeah.
the live performance of the poem
Yeah.
also serves as an editing tool. I
Yeah,
think.
definitely.
If it doesn't sound good in your mouth, there's probably something. There's
Something
probably a
wrong,
reason
yeah.
why.
If you make a mistake when you're reading it, that means it's not really written correctly. That's what I feel.
And do some people actually memorize them and
Oh,
recite
yeah.
them
Oh,
without
sure.
reading?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
where we came from. We come from the world of, we came from the world of slam, spoken word
Yeah,
poetry,
yeah.
and that's how it got to. That's how they do it. They'll memorize the work and then perform it. I've memorized one poem, in my entire life.
Well, I was
But-
going to ask you to recite one now, if you remember
Oh,
one.
Have
gosh.
fun. Have fun.
And you as well.
Oh man.
Wow, off the top of my head. See,
Yeah.
I don't. The thing is, I don't memorize my poems.
Well, each poem, if I'm not mistaken, will be 3 minutes. That's 6 minutes of poetry.
Yeah, that's
So that's way too much time to take up for this interview.
Ours are fairly long, but
Yeah,
I
it's
do.
about 3 minutes of poetry.
But what do you deal with? Tell me about the content of your message. I mean, what is it that you guys, I mean, you're social commentators when you're a poet.
Yeah.
You're talking
Oh,
about
absolutely.
what's going on in society.
Um,
And so what are your issues that you deal with?
I come from a block which is called Elder Avenue, right on Watson on the 6th train.
Okay.
I was born there, raised there. It literally, 2005, it was declared the worst neighborhood in the Bronx. That's where I come from. So a lot of my friends who unfortunately could not make it out of there, I consider myself their voice. You know, so a lot of things in which a lot of poets refuse to write about, read about, even think about, I write about. So in other words, I'm more of the voice of what I feel are my people. I'm a social commentator for, quote unquote, the urban area like Watson Avenue, Elder Avenue. That's what I write. That's self-identity.
Okay, and what are some of the issues that affect